You see why I call him a friend? If that doesn't inspire you, nothing will. Goodness, nice job. Okay, next up, we have John Roberts Brakey. A little bit about John. He's an election investigator for the past 17 years, director and co-founder of AUDIT USA, committed to making elections more secure, traceable, and publicly verified. Are you going to join him on stage, Brandon, or are you going to go separate?
Wherever you want.
Okay, let's. John Roberts Brakey. Let's give it up, folks.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I want you to know that I have been doing elections for 17 years out of Tucson, Arizona. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, I'm sorry, is that better? Okay. I am a transparency activist. I've been doing it for 17 years. You saw some of my work on the screen there. When you talk about weighted elections, fraction magic, I was on that team. I was in litigation. The last litigation I did in Arizona, I sued the whole state in 2016. Why? Because Hillary Clinton won the vote by mail by 60%. Bernie Sanders won the precincts by 59%. It broke the rule of large numbers. I accused that the voter database was hacked. 2 months later after the case, the FBI came in and said, yes, the voter database was hacked. For the last 4 years, I've been in 18 states. When Dr. Shiva came in through the Zoom, Dr. Shiva learned about fraction magic and how the ballot images, which I'll go into real quickly, what happened in Massachusetts, because I've done Massachusetts 3 times. You know, I think Dr. Shiva's right. You know, the swamp is fed through Massachusetts. It's an interesting state. I'm from the state of Maine. But you know what, I'm here tonight is with a very special guy who is the chair of the Libertarian Party. He has approached this problem with me, with Ron Mutter, and we're working to try to make elections in this state transparent, trackable, and publicly verified. You know, I want you to know, in this country, well, first off, 17 years ago, when a ballot went in through a machine, it was really a black box. It was, as the ballot went in, a light would come down, and if there was a dark spot, it got absorbed. It was the old IBM system. When we were in school, we did the Iowa test, and you fill in the bubble. Well, that was Mark Sense technology, left no evidence behind. The new systems that we're voting on, they don't count your ballot. They count the picture that it made. In 2016, I sued Pima County. I sued them because they were destroying public records that could prove elections are real. We won the lawsuit. I didn't have a lot of money. I went ahead and I sued them to stop them from destroying the public records. And a brave judge said something that woke me up, that launched me nationally. He says, you know, he was talking to the prosecutor who was working for the county, the lawyer, and he says, you know, I got a question for you. If you take voted ballots and you photocopy them and you use the photocopies to count the vote, what makes you think you can destroy them? They're in the chain of custody. In this state, in order to get a recount, you have to be within 1/10 of 1%. That's an anomaly by itself. It happened in 2004. In 2004, a brave Republican named Anton Orlik ran an LD20. He won his election by 4 votes, and it triggered. So there was a recount, and in that recount, they ran it through another machine. And he then lost by 14 votes. The judge said, gee, that's interesting. What recount should we trust? The first one or the second one? So he says, I want that person who programmed the machine to come in. They hit her. They lied to the judge. They said if Judge Napolitano wanted, the governor of Napolitano wanted that person in here, where would we find him? They lied. It's all on the record. By the way, they say the machines were supposed to be within 1 mark and 250,000. Did I mention that the guy who lost by 4 votes, the other guy won by 14, they found 489 new votes in the record. That could be the ghost that we're fighting. Please, I want you to demand that you get your public records and you ask for the ballot images. Do not ask for the ballots. They're not sorted. They got to be kept that way. We get the ballot images. We have 2 vendors in this country that can rerun them through another system. You have 743 precincts in this county. You used to have a lot more. It's not good to have precincts that big. But they need to come back from them, those images, sorted in precincts, published online, and let everybody look at them. Because truly, cynicism is destroying our country. I've been in North Carolina, courted all across this country. I've been in Massachusetts. In Florida, I'm in litigation right now, suing the largest 8 counties for destroying public records. This is a really bad thing. But you know, there's a guy in this room, one guy, who's the chair of the Libertarian Party, who is insisting to expose the fraud of the Board of Supervisors. This guy right there, Brendan, my friend, is standing up as an American. He's learning to be the we. You know, it was a pleasure working with Ron and to see that there was a Republican, a Libertarian, and guess what, folks? I'm a progressive Democrat, okay? Hope nobody gets shocked. But I do agree on one thing. My acronym is named right. I'm AUDIT Elections USA. And you know what AUDIT stands for? Americans United for Democracy, Integrity, and Transparency in Elections. And that, you know, I can't say how important that really is, because when I pulled up to Ron's place 10 days ago, and I go, oh my God, his window's filled with MAGA and Trump. I go, I'm a little nervous here. But I walked in, I found him just like me, a talker, who's trying to find solutions. I used to be an election integrity activist. I quit that. You know why? I found a solution. It's called transparency. Voting is a secret process. It's in our Constitution. You're right to a secret ballot, but the government hasn't got the right to a secret count. The solution is simple. Be with me and be the we, like we the people. Let's look at the language that we use. We're turning into tribes. Mr. Farnsworth, I admire your speech, but I'm not worried about voter fraud. It's election fraud. The voters are doing okay. It's the Orwellian language that they tell us. Sometimes we can get in a feedback loop. Please, election fraud. We don't want the ballots, we want the ballot images. Those ballot images is a click of a mouse, and here's your set, here's your set. And they got the originals in a nice, secure facility in the tabulation room. They should not be moved. Those boxes should not be opened, because after we get the images, then we know that the images are married to the ballot, you know, like a library set. Wow. Let's go prove it. The second largest county in the United States has the power to demand their public records and to make elections transparent, trackable, and publicly verified is what we need so bad. And thank you for having me here. Thank you for welcoming me as an American. And with that, Brendan, you got to introduce Brendan, because what he's done is phenomenal. I cannot say more of a
Great job, John. You guys, Brandon Slayton, as mentioned earlier, chair of Maricopa County Libertarian Party. He lived in Maricopa County for the last 13 years. He's a marketing professional committed to educating the electoral on principles of liberty, but also some exciting news that I'd like you to announce as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me here, everyone. You know, typically, I'm a former Republican, just by the way, so I'm a reform Republican, I like to say. Being in a room with people who are a little irritated with elected officials where they're going to recall them, I feel at home. So, really happy to be here. Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you. My name is Brandon Slayton. I am the chairman of the Maricopa County Libertarian Party. I am serving my second term. I was re-elected again in December. And I was one of the people inside the county elections during the whole process last year. Arizona is a party-centric state, and that means that the political parties have a very important responsibility ensuring the election integrity, counting, all the transparency, everything. We had 3 elections in 2020. We had the presidential primary, we had a regular primary, and then the general. And the chairs of the political parties are allowed to appoint observers. And that is where I met John Brakey. Last August, I got an email from a few of few people who I know in the Libertarian Party who were before my time, and they informed me that John Brakey was trying to get in touch with me. He wanted to meet and get appointed to the observer at Maricopa County elections, and at first I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But we met and he gave me the rundown, and I got to tell you, I have a crash course of elections the last 6 to 7 months. I can't tell you whether, as someone who was in there in the recount, and not the recount, in the audit, in the hand count, in the logic and accuracy testing, in the whole process, I don't know what's happening. So regular people who are getting their information from the media, and they're seeing the elections department performing these audits, which technically they're not audits, they're misinforming the people what is actually going on. So I don't need to rehash what's going on. You guys are very informed. It's a mess. The Senate was supposed to vote on a contempt resolution. It failed. What do? I heard that the county board of supervisors approved the forensic audit about 2 weeks ago. And I sent an email to the county election officials basically asking them, hey, I know this audit's coming. Give me the information so I can appoint an observer from the Libertarian Party. They said, okay, we're still working out the logistics, but we'll let you know one way or the other. Last Tuesday on Facebook, the county elections department made a post saying that it was the first day of this forensic audit and that representatives from both parties, political parties, were there. What does both political parties mean to a little third party guy? I was very upset. Immediately emailed county election officials and said, why wasn't the Libertarian Party allowed representation? Because at this point, I'm thinking we were left out. I was thinking that Republicans and Democrats were there based on that post.
Nope.
Turns out, no one was there.
Our county chair was not invited.
I got a response from the election director, Ray Venezuela, and he said that the Board of Supervisors, due to COVID, due to not wanting any disturbances, which I think that's a little bit worse than COVID, from my opinion, that the Board of Supervisors basically outlined the stakeholders, and it was the governor's office, Secretary of State, Attorney General, House and Senate, and the League of Women Voters. League of Women Voters are a phenomenal organization. I wish that they still handled the presidential elections. Maybe we would have a libertarian candidate involved in one of those. But they're not election experts. And what they're doing is nothing more than theater. On Wednesday, last Wednesday, I don't know if you guys follow them on Facebook, but you should. They're posting videos of people taking apart machines with screwdrivers. What does that do? If you're a normal person, and maybe we're all not here, but if you're a normal person who's going about your day, going to work, raising a family, yada yada yada, you're not into politics. You see that, and you're misinformed. You think that the county did multiple audits. You think that everything has passed the smell test, and all it is political theater. So once I got that response back from the county elections officials, I turned inward, sought counsel, and basically with the leadership of other libertarians and John Brakey, we did file suit against the Board of Supervisors yesterday. And the county recorder it's a simple, straightforward case, and it basically alleges that we deserve to be there. They excluded us, and we deserve to be there. We put forward a lot of different evidence, and the thing that I think sticks the most to me is that the county board of supervisors put forward a public notice where in this public notice, they specify that participation from all three political parties is needed as community stakeholders. And yet, when I followed up on that, I was told by not only the elections director, I also sent another email directly to Stephen Richer, and his external affairs liaison basically regurgitated the same thing. So someone's lying. I can't wait to find out who. All of them. Yes. So the goal, right. So what happens if we win? If we win, I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but ideally, they should reorder what they're doing, and then they definitely need to have all three political parties involved. For my mind, once we have the parties involved, it's very important that we know what we're looking for. People like the League of Women Voters is not going to know what to look for. People like John Brakey, who I appointed as my elections expert and the Libertarian Observer, knows what to look for. And I actually have a hunch that they knew that I was going to be appointing John Brakey, and that is why they kind of changed the rules and didn't let anyone in. I can't prove that, but that is what my gut tells me.
My gut tells me too.
So.
That hand count, 92% of the vote never had the opportunity to be checked. Of course, I'm not going to hack the voting centers. It's only 6% of the vote. I'm not going to hack those Mickey Mouse 50 batches. I'm going to hack the 9,500. Now, I'm not saying that they did that. I'm saying that the possibility is there. Because when you pull a random poll, it needs to be purely random. And so basically, that's the mistake that they've really made, and they really don't want me in there because I am an expert. After you do 18 states and you spend 17 years understanding the Greek language of our modern election system, I'm out here trying to help people understand how elections really work and to work towards the solutions. And this brave guy has learned how to be the we. And we want you to be the same thing. We can do this together as Americans. Yeah. And then we go back to fighting about the other stuff.
Once we have access, it's easier for us to then argue that what's happening is not true audits. It's my goal to really drive that home. We can't let them pervert what a real audit is. A real audit, or an audit, is basically like what Ron has said. It's about compliance. Are you following processes, et cetera, et cetera? The only way that we will ever really know the true vote totals is by releasing the ballot images. And I forget something earlier, but part of that is education. Like you said, this is not a glamorous or sexy subject. And unfortunately, it tends to be the quote-unquote losing side who kind of focuses on it. No one cares when you're the winner. You have to prove election results for the losing side.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm nervous, and I wanted to know, how do you guys know if what they're doing to the machines aren't destroying them or messing them up or damaging them, or for anything else with the ballots? I saw them having ballots as part of the videos, and so they're putting hands on ballots. Could they be destroying things? I mean, I don't trust them. How do we
Listen, there is a pretty good process there. I want you to know, if I was going to steal election, I would use Fraction Magic, the program that you saw a bit about, okay? I would dial in the percentage, like Dr. Shiva talked about. Yeah, that's what you would do. I want you to know that there are 2 Sequoia employees down there, okay? They run the system, okay? We're voting on secret software. We don't even know what the code is. And then they do audits that are dog and pony shows. Elections are no good unless they're transparent, trackable, and publicly verified. They've done 4 logic and accuracy tests. They keep saying, hey, I know that those are good. A logic and accuracy test is no better than a Volkswagen diesel pulling in, which, by the way, $33 billion to date, buying back all these diesel cars that had a computer built into it that knew when to cheat, okay? What is a logic and accuracy test? It proves everything is working right, isn't it? What was the emission test they did? It proved everything in the car was working right. No, it wasn't. It knew when to cheat. Only robust audits is what we have to have. Those images are a gift. The only reason they're not is because you legislators were swindled by Chuck Huckleberry. After I won the case, they did a striker bill, and they made the images. It's called 16625. I give you the whole history. Please help us Americans make our elections transparent, trackable, publicly verified. That is the solution. You can tear all the machines apart you want. You're not going to look at the source code because it's completely secret. Get rid of these private vendors. We should have open source or have systems. Really, we should be hand counting, okay, on presidential. It should be on a Friday and it's a holiday because democracy is something to celebrate. And you know, I did the Indian reservation before I had my heart attack in 2010 after I sued Maricopa on that one. And the best election I ever saw was at the Indian reservation. I cried because I saw people excited like you about democracy and making democracy work. Be the we with us. Thank you again.
We'll have time for questions after the second.
I have a question.
No, not right now. Thanks for trying. We'll do that after everybody speaks. So last question.
Okay, so once we have access and we're observing the audit and they redo the audit, or hopefully redo the audit, we have a stronger case to then make an argument that what they're doing isn't necessarily a real audit. Outside of that, we have to educate the public. We need to know how elections are operated, and that doesn't just mean where to put your ballot. It's really about the process of how it's counted. We need people involved in the logic and accuracy test. We need people to volunteer for the hand count, which is a technical audit that they do, but there are flaws with it that we won't go into. And that is pretty much it. I was trying to think of one more thing that I...
Tell them that to email you. Please get a copy of the complaint. It'll blow your mind. Read my press release.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say, but one of the things that you can do is contact the Maricopa County Republican Party, have the executive board sign on to our case. This is about all political parties. This isn't just a libertarian issue. All political parties were excluded. Last fall, the Maricopa County Republican chairwoman resigned from public pressure because she didn't attend one of these logic and accuracy tests. So please contact the new executive committee and ask them to sign on to our case. Thank you.
Great job, Brandon. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you. So listen, we've been here a little more than an hour, right? In this last hour, you've learned more tonight than the mainstream media will tell you in 50 years, right? Our next guest, Verl Farnsworth.